Hey everybody, it's Haley. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a process video through day 4 of the Pointing to Jesus devotional kit from BTW4G. And this finds us in Malachi chapter 3. So I'm not really sure what I'm doing, which is usually not the best idea for the way I craft, but I'm gonna go ahead and put you guys on fast forward and get started. Well, today's video is pretty straightforward. I am using a makeup brush from the Dollar Tree to apply some vintage photo distress oxide to the margin of my page. I have moved from my interleaved Bible into my illustrating Bible that my friend Katie got me from, actually she ordered it from BTW4G. So, she wanted to gift that to me, so I said, support a small business, go buy it from Tom and Lori. So, and I love it. But it's always interesting to move from one like size and shape of paper to another. But anyway, I digress. So now I've smushed out some of that same vintage photo distress oxide onto a clear acrylic block because I couldn't find my craft mat. And I mixed it with some texture paste, and I'm just using a palette knife to smush that through. And texture paste dries really fast, and it's really difficult to get off once it's dry. So you need to clean it pretty much immediately after using it. And it's super fun though. It's one of my favorite mediums to use. Just giving it a blast with my heat tool. Again, that's not a hair dryer. That is a craft heat tool. Because distress oxides react with water, I just put some blobs of water down with my distress sprayer to create even more visual texture by lifting some of the ink up off the page. Now this stamp is super cool. It is one large collage stamp. It's just all one piece. I don't even put it on an acrylic block. I just ink it up on like the backing sheet that it's on, and then smash it down to create just kind of a distressed background, like a lot of visual texture, but not really like a picture of something, if that makes sense. And then today I decided I'm going to be brave and do some paper piecing, or not paper piecing, layering. There are some people that just have a way with paper layering, and it is just not something that I feel like I'm good at. Like, this took a lot of work for me. Luckily, the kit this month had some really cool pieces that when I dumped them out, they just kind of landed together, and I was like, okay, that'll do. Another thing is I just have to be brave enough to use the pieces I love. Like, I really like the florals in this kit, and I didn't want to use them, but then I was like, Haley, just use them. Because the die cut pieces are on like white cardstock or whatever, they really stick out against that background. And so I took that same brush and the distress oxide and just ran it lightly over to give it kind of an aged paper look, so the white wasn't so like pristine. But like that hymnal page, I saw it and I was just like, I'm never using this. And I was like, no, I'm using it today, because there's no sense in hoarding these supplies. So I think that's another thing with the paper piecing. I need to just, if I like it, I just need to use it and not overthink it. I couldn't find my tape runner, so I'm having to use a glue stick, which was less than awesome. I also had some Tim Holtz ephemera packs. I don't remember the names. but there were these like pointing index fingers, and they're the same as some of the things in the kit, so that was fun. And then a couple ticket stubs and a lot of really cool pieces in there. And the colors went reasonably well together, so I was pretty glad I had those. So yeah, the nice thing about the glue stick is it's repositionable. Here I just have my texture paste container, and then this white and blue thing on the bottom is a container that my kids' vitamins came in, and I have water in it for watercoloring. I just put those on top of the die cuts that have the glue on them to hold them in place while the glue is drying. I really like these spiritual prescription cards, but I did not want to cover the text. I have covered the text in this Bible, but it's mostly been with medium you can read through, like watercolor or big brush pens and stuff. Depending on the color, you can read through those. So I went ahead and I crumpled it up. The splatter stencil texture thing, I don't know, it just kind of felt like it needed to be less pristine. So that's another thing. Don't be afraid to kind of rough up your stuff. I feel like I like paper better torn and crumpled than I do like picture perfect. So anyway, and my page today is just going to say, behold, he is coming. In Malachi 3:1, Malachi is prophesying about the birth of Jesus. He was a prophet, I believe, at the same time as Isaiah. But reading that today just struck me in such a way. At the time of filming this, it's June 21st, 2020. It's Father's Day. We're starting to slowly come out of quarantine because of the coronavirus. Here in the United States, we are in the middle of a very powerful and important social movement / conversation around systemic racism of minority groups in the United States. Excuse me. It's also an election year, which historically those years tend to be a little more dramatic than the other 3 years in between. So it's been hard, and for a number of reasons. But anyway, I did not realize how kind of like hopeless I was feeling until I read this today, and I just immediately burst into tears when I read, behold, he's coming. I'm going to pause for a second. So I used those little alpha tiles, and then I used that stamp over it, and I covered the G of coming with too much ink on accident, so I just peeled it off and used a different one. And here I have the torn green paper in 2 places, and so I wanted a little bit in my third cluster at the bottom, so I found a scrap and glued it to it for my date tab thing. But anyway, so like I said, Malachi is prophesying to God's people about the coming of Jesus as a baby. He's prophesying about the birth of Christ. But when I read it, I wasn't thinking about Jesus as a baby. I was thinking about he's coming back. So hear me when I say Malachi is not prophesying about the return of Christ. He's talking about the birth of Christ. And I know that, and you need to know that too. But I think because of where I'm at, like mentally and emotionally, it was such a great reminder for me, especially doing this study on prophecy, because of the consistency of the character of God in the Old Testament, and because we can see prophecies fulfilled, it's much easier to trust him because his track record thus far is perfect as far as being someone who keeps their word. Okay? So we're in the middle of all this turmoil and chaos, and I'm just feeling a lot of things. I'm thinking a lot of things, and I'm trying to take every thought captive. And then today, although contextually not what Malachi's talking about, to read, "Behold, he's coming," was so powerful for me. Because he has done everything that he said he would do, because he is everything he says he is, I can trust and believe that when he says he's coming back, he will. And that just, I needed that so much today. So this day was really fun for me to document. I used the watercolors to highlight my verse, and now I'm using a micron pen to outline my stickers to create some more contrast. Thanks for hanging out with me today. If you liked this video, please click the like button, subscribe if you'd like to, and we'll see you.